Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU.
It's another episode and it's another reason to love your HBCU. I'm going to have to start doing a count of NCAT student as well as alum that we get to speak to on this podcast, because we have McKaylee Miller, who is NCAT proud. How are you doing?
I'm doing good today. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm going to start asking all of you this question. If you tell me you went to North Carolina A&T, you get to be asked this question, because Aggie pride, at least for us on the podcast, is strong. So I asked Miss Universe Petite, Angelica Smith, who is an NCAT alum and a guest on our podcast as well, this question. So I'm curious to hear your question. What is it about Aggie pride that you love so much?
Yes, great question. I would definitely say I love the family aspect of the community at A&T, whether you graduated in 1965 or you graduated in 2024. There's so much community and unity among our school, so I really appreciate that even the older alumni are always willing to help the younger students and always willing to give back to the school. So that's something I really appreciate, because you don't see that at every school. So I just love the community. I think community is everything. So that's one reason why I've had such a great experience at A&T. So
I love it. So I'm not just saying this, and each one of them that have been guests on the show know, I sincerely feel there's something about North Carolina A&T that is unique to you, in a very, very special way. And you are getting, for me, just from my experience, you are getting pleasantly close to me meeting a Harvard alum. I'm so serious. Anytime I meet a Harvard alum, it is all they talk about. You guys are getting dangerously close, not dangerously, pleasantly close to me comparing you to Harvard alum, because anytime I meet somebody who graduated from A&T, it's all they want to talk about, and it's all good, regardless of what the experience, regardless of what the journey looked like. The experience that they share was always a good one, and I absolutely love that. I want to get controversial for 2.5 seconds, okay? So it's 2025. We're in 2025. It is summer. Granted, when people hear us, it's probably going to be sometime in the fall. But we're recording this in the summer, and it's either Tommy Hilfiger or Ralph Lauren, I'm not sure which one it is, has come out with a spread recently, showcasing Black culture. It's at Martha's Vineyard. They're using the Martha's Vineyard feel for it. And I see Spelman and I see Morehouse primarily as the ones that they've chosen to flagship this particular brand, a marketing idea that they've had. When I see that, and I want to hear what you think as somebody who is an NCAT alum, when I see that, I am wondering how well non-Black, non-HBCU community people know of the other greats. And I am going to mention NCAT as one of the other greats. I am going to mention FAMU as one of the other greats. Everybody knows Howard, everybody knows Hampton, and so on and so forth. When you see that, and I know I loved when I saw it, but it makes me wonder, what about the other schools? Do you guys have conversations with the other schools? What were your thoughts? Did you see the spread that I'm talking about, by the way? You did. Lovely.
Yes.
What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Yes, I definitely enjoyed the campaign. I think there was a lot of discourse on social media. People had very differing opinions on the spread, but I feel that Black people are not a monolith. Like, we're all different. Some people might be very preppy. Some people have different aesthetics and things that they enjoy. So I enjoyed the campaign, and I love seeing Spelman and Morehouse getting some appreciation and just some shine. So I really appreciated that, and I think it paves the way for other schools like an A&T, a FAMU to have that type of coverage maybe from another brand. More brands will be willing to work with HBCUs. So
I like
yeah.
that. I like that. I like that. I love your approach to it.
Yeah.
It might just be opening doors for others. But I agree with you. I love the love that they got. And let's be clear, NCAT actually does get quite a lot of love. It does when it comes to the branding world. So I just wanted to see a few more, if I'm being a little selfish. I just wanted to see a few more. So McKaylee, you are a recent grad actually
Yes.
of North Carolina A&T. But you are going to law school soon.
Yes.
Golden question.
Mhm.
What law schools are you looking to when it comes to law school?
Yes, so I'll be attending William and Mary Law School in a few
She's
weeks
already
actually,
picked. I
so
love
in
it.
late August, so I'm really excited about that.
How do you feel? There is a lot of discourse with regards to if you went to an HBCU for undergrad. It literally has been said to me to my face. Granted, I went to HBCUs for both undergrad as well as grad, but I've heard it said to people, if you go to an HBCU for undergrad, go elsewhere for grad. Have you heard that discourse, number one? And number two, what was your process in selecting William and Mary?
Yeah, so I would say I don't agree with that. I feel like people should do what's best for them. Some people, even a PWI for undergrad might have been best for them in their situation and they may have a great experience. I think people should do what works for them, what makes them happy, and go to a place where they feel like they'll be academically challenged and just pleased with their experience. So I guess that's my take on that. And also, can you repeat the end of the question?
How did you select William and Mary? I think anyone that ends up having you as a student is going to consider themselves lucky. So
Thank
how
you.
did William and Mary select you, or how did you select William and Mary?
Yes, so actually, I had never thought much about William and Mary. I was mostly looking at HBCUs and also law schools in North Carolina because I was originally had my mindset on going to law school in North Carolina. But at William and Mary, they have a scholarship program for students that have attended HBCUs, and I said, I'll apply, but just give it a try. And yeah, so that's kind of how I ended up there. They have an excellent scholarship program for HBCU students, and I live in Washington D.C. So a school in Virginia is just a little bit closer than a school in North Carolina, so it all ended up working out for me.
I want to go here for a second. You literally just said something that just sparked an interest for me. You said that William and Mary has a scholarship program, which I like, for students who have attended an HBCU. Um, and the there that I want to go is this.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear, there are a lot of conversations that I have with students from HBCUs and graduates of HBCUs who feel a sense of belonging, community, family that they believe they can only get at an HBCU, to the point that some of them believe that your foundational start for your education preferably should happen at an HBCU, i.e., they would like to see more Black people start at an HBCU and then go wherever the heck you want to go to, but start where you're amongst people who are going to embolden your voice. You're amongst people that you're not going to have to always try to define who you are and convince others of who you are along the way, i.e., the necessity of why HBCUs exist in the first place. So, to the point that there are institutions like William and Mary who are doing, I think, a decent job of trying to attract HBCU students to their spaces, you're benefiting from it. But let's imagine for 2.5 seconds that you were not benefiting from it. What would your opinion be about such programs? I tend to like it, but what would your opinion be about such programs?
I guess I would say even if let's say another student received that scholarship and then I ended up going elsewhere, or if I did end up going to William and Mary, I would say I would still be happy for other students. I like to see all Black students, HBCU students, getting opportunities, the ability to attend school. You know, some people have financial factors, especially going into graduate programs. It's very difficult to fund these things. So I'm just happy for any student to be able to have such an opportunity.
Same here. Same here. I love it. I also think, McKaylee, that it speaks to a recognition that diversity is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to get a certain group of people, let's be clear, as diverse as a lot of our HBCUs have become and have been over the years, I'm going to throw it out there that at least 50 to 60% of students who go to HBCUs are still Black people for the most part. And so when you decide to have a scholarship or program whereby if you are a student of an HBCU, you get a scholarship to another institution that's a PWI, you are speaking to the fact that you want that type of diversity at your place. So regardless of what the world currently is, not the world, the United States of America currently is doing with regards to demonizing diversity, equity, and inclusion, for example, a move like that to me tells me that you can do away with the acronym, you can do away with a title, but there's an appreciation that diversity actually is a good thing.
Agreed.
So, okay. McKaylee, I want to throw the rapid fire segment at you.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite segments because I'm always curious to hear what the responses are going to be. So if you're ready, I'm ready to throw it at
Okay,
you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. Okay. Describe your HBCU experience in one word.
One word. Oh, this is tricky. I'll say. I'm sorry. I need a moment. One word is hard.
It's rapid. It's 67 seconds.
I would say collaborative.
Collaborative. Okay. If your time in college was a song, what song would it be?
I think the song is called "Just Going On," like "Keep Going On." So I don't remember.
Just going on.
Yeah,
Okay.
Keep going on.
We'll go, keep going on.
Yes.
It seems as if you have a theme, not necessarily a song. You have a theme.
Yes,
So
that
just
might be
keep
it.
going on. Okay. What would you have wanted to tell your college roommate but didn't?
I would tell her I appreciate my time living with her and just our time together in college.
That's beautiful. On a scale of 1 through 10, how good of a student were you?
That's tricky. I would say an 8 or 9. I think I did well.
I like that. The last person that we recorded said 11.
Oh.
So, hey, I'll take 8.
I
know,
love the
right?
confidence.
I know. She also made me feel like I just did not do well in college by the time we were done with our conversation, to be honest with you. Okay, time's up. However, shout out your favorite professor or person and what did they teach?
Oh my, there's so many I could name. I would say Professor Opata was my favorite. And he taught just some I took so many classes from him, but I believe he taught legal studies, something along those lines. But I've taken so many, it's hard for me to, it's kind of a blur. But
so can I say this? You're not the first person that will shout out the person really, really quickly and will forget what it is they actually taught. And you know what that tells me? And I hope every single student who is in school, especially freshmen, are listening to this. People are going to make an impression on you in college. And it's not always about what it is they taught and the formality of the education and the formality of the class. It really is about who they are and have them believing in you as a person, because you got so excited, right? And you're like, I could name so many.
Yes.
And then you mentioned one and you took so many things from this person that I'm sure if I were to ask you what's your favorite thing about the person, it's not going to have as much to do with a class, but as much to do with how you feel and felt because of that person, which goes back to that Maya Angelou quote that people say all the time. People will remember how you made them feel almost more than anything else. So, okay, you are from Washington, D.C.
Yes.
You ended up in North Carolina for college. you had Howard University around the corner.
Yes.
And on the way to North Carolina, there is Bowie State University. There is Morgan State University. Give me the college selection journey. Why MCAT?
So that's actually a great question. So, like you mentioned, there's so many great HBCUs in the DMV area, but I said I need to get away. I need some time, not too far, but just a little bit far. So I ended up at A&T. I also applied to Hampton, which is a little bit farther than Howard, but I
Sure.
ended up at A&T because I had went on a school tour sometime during my senior year of high school. And when I was there, I just felt at home. Like I feel like when you visit different schools, you kind of know like this school is nice, great school, but this isn't for me. And when I reached A&T's campus, I was like, this is for me. I don't know much about the school, but this is my school. So that's how I ended up at A&T.
What's your favorite thing about NCAT?
I would say my favorite thing about NCAT is definitely the students. I love how we're always willing to work with each other, help one another, especially people within the same major. Like I was a pre-law major at A&T, and a lot of us worked together really well. We supported each other through law school applications and encouraged each other and stuff like that. So that's one great thing I loved about A&T.
To the incoming or the current freshman at A&T, knowing fully well that there will be challenges, because every university's got challenges, what would you say to them to help them get through it?
I would say the famous quote, keep your eyes on the prize. Like you'll have some days where you're like, oh, I'm feeling really down. I don't feel like doing my work. Maybe I won't turn this in, or maybe I won't go to office hours. And it's like, keep your eyes on that degree. Like keep going, putting in work every single day to get to your goal. Because if not, it's not going to work out. So I think it's really important to remember why you're there. Remember why you came to school in the first place.
Why did you go there? Why did you go and get an education, McKaylee? And here's why I'm asking you this question. There are so many students now, especially our young men, and the statistics show it, that our young men literally question the worth, the value of a college degree. What was your why?
I would say my why is the fact that your education is something no one can ever take away from you. Someone can take away your job, they can take away this and that from you, but your education, you'll always have that. You'll always have that foundation of the amazing things you learned over the years, and not just academically, but there's so many things to learn during your college experience. So I would say that that's just something that kind of prompted my why.
So you wanted to go and get your college degree at North Carolina A&T. Your why was you were going to be on this pathway. You were pre-law. You were going to law school. I want to pivot ever so slightly and talk about a huge bunch of legal issues that we see in our world, starting with we do have a convicted felon as the president of the United States of America. Let's start there. As related to education as well as HBCU education specifically, they just passed the big beautiful bill, as they're calling it. I want to actually go back to the fact that we have a convicted felon in the United States of America. As an upcoming lawyer, what are your thoughts on that?
It's very troubling. It's a very uneasy time in this country. So, I mean, the best way I can put it is it's an uneasy time, but I guess I just remind myself like this time will pass. We've been through a lot of things in the past as a community and we've gotten through it. So I kind of use that as my hope during this difficult time.
I sigh heavily because I think all of us are telling ourselves the same thing. And all of us are desperately trying not to look outside our window at the same time. And the reason why I put it that way is as much as we're trying to be hopeful, some facts are on the ground, right? And those facts that are on the ground, you use the word troubling. I don't think I could have picked a better word when you say troubling. How is it okay And I need you to help me. You're the one that was pre-law. You're the one that I'm hoping watched some of this stuff as it was going on. How is this even possible? And I know people are going to be listening in and saying, oh, come on, Tosin, it's obvious. Is it really that obvious that we live in a country whereby we go through the whole legal process as the president did, and he was still allowed to run and he won the election and became president? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's also important for us to hold accountable other politicians that play a role in voting on these things. Like, so many people came together for this to occur. So
To
I think
happen
that's
this
also
way.
important to note the people that we're allowing to be in power, the people we're voting for in our local elections and things like that. So
So I'm you listen, you're a better conversationalist than I am, because you literally just threw out what was on my mind. You said you've got to hold these other people accountable.
right.
In holding these other people accountable, I have to go to the big beautiful bill that just got passed,
Mhm.
because the president and his team can put the bill together, propose it, blah 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 blah. Two sets of houses have to pass that bill for it to become law, and it is currently law. Is there anything that you find in the big beautiful bill that you find ridiculously troubling?
Yes, I would definitely say the changes to higher education, the way that students are able to take out loans and stuff like that, and basically a lot of changes to that might affect people's ability to pursue higher education, whether that's a PhD program, law school, medical school. This may be keeping some low income students from being able to go to these types of institutions. So that's something that's really troubling to me as someone who, did the process of applying to law school. I saw how much each school was, and it was very, very expensive. So I know other students are feeling the same way, and students that are behind me, like freshmen, um, juniors, sophomores, stuff like that, they might be feeling a lot of anxiety during this time because they're like, well, I couldn't take out the same type of loans I was able to take out in previous years. So how am I going to afford something like medical school or law school? So
And if I'm not mistaken, in the part that I delved into in the bill had a lot to do with education as well. And there's now a limit. I think it's the Parent Plus loan.
yes.
There's a limit on how much a parent can actually support, in all fairness, their student child with. I don't know what the number is, but it is a low cap, knowing fully well, to your point, that yearly
Mhm.
college education, even at the undergraduate level, forget about grad school, at the undergraduate level is actually a lot higher. And that's like the average cost. It's a lot higher than whatever that cap is. I don't want to throw out a number and be wrong, so that's why I'm not stating the cap. But I remember when reading it not too long ago, the number actually is low. The cap is low.
Yes.
Um, Also, speaking about education, and this is not, I'm not just throwing this out there because it's a hot topic and it's buzzy to talk about it. When, not when is not the right word. I want your viewpoints on why the United States of America won't change its approach to college debt. Um, and for me, it's a little bit bigger than just forgiving the debt. It has a lot to do with the type of livelihood. And this affects HBCU students absolutely disproportionately. It does. But it affects all students, regardless of whether or not you're in HBCU or PWI or an MSI. Does not matter. What do you think it is about who we are as a nation, Mikhaili, that doesn't have us coming together to say something needs to be done about, I keep calling it a noose around the neck of students.
Yeah,
That's what I
that's a
see
good way to
college
put it.
debt to be. Something needs to be done about this noose around their necks. What is it about our culture, what is it about our populace that we can't come together on that one thing that all statistics show is a detriment to us?
Yes, I mean, the best way I can put it, I believe that it just boils down to greed at the end of the day. More money, more money, more money. So, yeah, like students are sitting with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of debt that I would argue some people will never be able to pay off. Some, like when you go to a very expensive graduate institution, and then a very expensive grad school, that adds up. Like the average person will not be able to pay that back. So yeah, I just feel that it boils down to greed and a lack of care for people that are trying to seek an education and also access, because some people in certain positions, they don't want people like us to have access to higher education. So loans and debt and stuff like that really deters a lot of people. They'll say, like you mentioned earlier, a
Absolutely.
lot of young men are facing the issue of, oh, well, college isn't really worth it. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a diploma. It's too expensive. It's not worth it.
So, to that point, I also know that a lot of institutions are beginning to rethink the majors that they offer students in college. I want to get your take on that. I know some of the methodology that some of the institutions are using is this: if the major does not have the likelihood of earning you enough money for you to be able to pay off the college loan, then we might need to rethink whether or not that's the right major to be offering. What effect do you think that will have on HBCUs, if any?
I think it will definitely have an effect on a lot of HBCUs. Like for example, my school is well known for their engineering program, so a lot of students come for STEM related reasons. But then you have a school like Howard that's known for like fine art, so there's students there for film and music and art and things like that. And some people might say, oh, why would you go to college and major in this or this? Like there's no jobs available for that. And that just reminds me that a lot of people take very unconventional paths. They might have had a music degree, and then they'll go into this, and this. Like their career will be
Mm,
completely different from what they expected, but they still had their degree at the end of the day. So there's so many opportunities for people that you may be ignorant of, or I mean, someone may be ignorant of, but that person, as long as they have a plan and they're willing to pay for their education and find their way, then I think all schools should continue offering the majors that they always have offered.
what if it is no longer financially viable, though? And here's what I mean when I say, what if it's no longer financially viable? So let's take NCAT as an example, right? Luckily for NCAT, they actually are known for a lot of their STEM majors. They are almost always in the top five with regards to their STEM offerings, but they offer other things as well. At a time whereby you now see that the way society is going is, if I go to NCAT, I want to do music,
Right.
right? And I go to NCAT and I'm a music major, and realistically my chances of being able to make a living as a musician, as in make an actual living and pay off the loans that I had to take out for school, is not as viable as I thought it would
Right.
be. And then I don't go, the number of students in that program start to decrease. And I think it leaves that institution like NCAT with a very tough choice. Do we keep that program or do we let go of that program? Um, you're the president of NCAT for 5 seconds. How would you make that decision? What decision would you make?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a case by case basis. So I think in some cases it would be the best decision to get rid of that program, but a lot of these programs have been around for over 100 years. So I feel, like
Yeah.
a lot of schools have been open since the early to mid 1800s, and they've been offering these programs. So I would say it's really just, it depends on the case, honestly.
Predict the next 50 years. This is unfair, but you're Miss Miller. You can do this.
Yes.
Predict the next 50 years, or go for 100 if you don't want to do 50. We are in a climate whereby people are questioning the value of the degree, not education, but the degree itself. People are questioning if I could go to trade school, if I could get certificates, if I could do this, if I could do that, not for the lawyers, not for the STEM majors, but primarily for everybody
Right.
else, I may not necessarily need the college degree in order to be successful in my field. Predict the next 50 to 100 years. How detrimental do you think it will be for HBCUs? And if you think it's going to be detrimental for HBCUs, what would you suggest they should do differently?
Yes, I can definitely say I agree that trade school and certifications and things like that are better for some people. It really just boils down to their goals, what's important to them, what type of career they envision for themselves, because there's plenty of things people can do that don't necessarily require that you attend a four year institution. So I would say that I agree with that, and I think that's something a lot of young people should consider, because a lot of people grow up hearing go to college, go to college, go to college, but college really isn't meant for everyone, and I'm a firm believer in that. And I would also say I don't think it will have such an impact on HBCUs in the coming years or colleges in general, because I feel that there's still so many people that want to go into fields like engineering, like law, like medicine, things like that. So I think they'll still, like, the seats will be filled essentially. Like, there'll still be students attending HBCUs, attending college, but I hope that in the next like 50 to 100 years, it will be more socially acceptable for a young person like 17, 18 years old to say, I'm going to go to trade school, or I'm going to travel abroad and have a job there, or whatever is best for them, which may not involve college, which is okay.
I'm going to make a prediction along with you.
Okay.
If I have your permission.
Yes.
Do I have your permission to make a... Okay, I'm going to make a prediction. So I'm Nigerian by birth. I'm Nigerian by Nigerian and British by upbringing, but I'm Nigerian by birth. And when I say this, every Nigerian, maybe even every African might agree with me that this is not true of my parents, because my parents are going to watch this and say, Tosin, we never told you that. And they are right. They are very right. However, I do know that there are quite a few Nigerian parents who impressed upon their kids to go after the professions. So be a lawyer, be a doctor, be an accountant, be an engineer. It's why if you go to a lot of your colleges across the nation and you hear a Nigerian name, I bet you about 8 out of 10 times they're either in pre-law, they're either in the engineering program, they're either in the business school, or it's going to be something science or business. They're going for the professions. I have a prediction that that's going to spread beyond Africa. I have a prediction that that's going to be impressed upon different African American homes. I think over the last 50 or so years, what has been impressed upon us is follow your passions, go after your heart, do what makes you feel good. But I think we're learning that as much as that is extremely important, you have to eat by the end of the day. You have to live by the end of the day. That I think many of my African counterparts who were so hard on their parents might owe their parents an apology as well as a thank you, because what their parents were really trying to do, they might not have liked the methodology with which their parents used, but what their parents were trying to do is set them up. That's it. They just wanted them to be able to be financially viable, because whether we like it or not, in the century that we live in, you need money to live, and you need money to get the things that you want. That's my prediction, McKaylee, that in all fairness, that balance might shift, where it's not just my passion that I'm following. Yes, I can do anything I want to do, but I'm actually also going to be following profession and passion all in one.
Yes,
What are your
I
thoughts on
love
that?
your point on that. And that made me think about how sometimes for example, you may not have always envisioned a career in law or in business or in medicine, but sometimes I feel that you can bridge your passion with something like that. So, for example, I love to encourage people to consider a career in law, because I feel that there's so many types of law. There's so many no matter what you're interested in, there might be a type of law that you can go into. Like if you're interested in entertainment and music, you can be an entertainment lawyer. If you're interested in just business, you can be a corporate lawyer. Whatever you're passionate about, you can probably connect that with law. And I think a lot of people don't quite understand that law being a lawyer is not always like what you see on TV. Like you may not always be in court all the time. Like sometimes it's behind the scenes work. There's so many hats you might have as a lawyer. So I think that someone who may have one passion in one area, there may be a way they can bridge that or connect that with something else so that they can make money and be doing something that they really enjoy. So I love that.
I love that. I love that. I think our predictions they merged,
Yes.
right? Our predictions for what's going to happen just merged. So all of our HBCU students, follow your passion and your profession.
Mhm.
Like do both because we have to eat. It's really that simple. We have to eat. So do both. But I absolutely love your take on law because every single person I know who went to law school does not actually go to court. I'm not kidding. They don't defend. They are either in corporate. Some of them are in litigations. Like I don't know law, so don't let me start throwing things out. But I don't remember when last a friend of mine who's a lawyer is like, oh yeah, Justin, I'm going to court today and I have to go and defend this person. I think that's maybe primarily criminal law for those who do that. But let me start talking about law because I don't know
It's
I don't know the
okay.
different parts. I don't. What kind of law do you plan on studying, by the way, or practicing?
Yes, that's a great question. And I'm actually very open right now. I think when I start law
Okay.
school, I'll kind of get some more clarity about what I'm passionate about, what I truly enjoy, what I see myself doing in my career. I will say one thing that I'm really passionate about is like fashion and business. So I think it would be really
Okay.
interesting to eventually become like an in-house like corporate attorney working for like a fashion or like a beauty brand. I think that will be something down my alley. I could see myself doing in the future. But I'm still open. I might end up in a completely different type of law. But I recently interned at FedEx at their government affairs office, and they have a lot of attorneys on their team that work in house. So I kind of got a feel for what in-house attorneys do, what their day-to-day is like, and it seemed like something I would enjoy. So I would love to work for a company and kind of especially a company in the fashion or beauty industry, and yeah. So but I'm still open. I'll see what the future holds.
You mentioned fashion. I have to ask. Give me your top three fashion brands.
That's a great question. I don't think I can answer that just yet because I'm still learning what stores I love. Some of them are hit or miss, so I'm slowly learning which stores I really love. But when I see something I like, I know I like it. So,
I like that. I like that. I like that. That made me smile. And the reason why that made me smile is because typically you ask somebody that question and they may not necessarily know and they're just going to throw out the brands that they remember top of head. And you're like, no. And that shows me that you actually are a true fashion person because you want to get to define and feel
yes.
what yours is, as opposed to just throwing something out there. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
McKaylee, I want you to go back to freshman year.
Mhm.
McKaylee is getting to NCAT, North Carolina, for the very first time. What was the one thing you feared the most? Like, because listen, when woo, mine was a whole continent away,
Mhm.
and I was scared. I'm gonna be honest. I was scared. I never told anybody that, but I was scared. Tell me what you feared about college the most. What was your biggest fear about college?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say I definitely had some concerns because before college, I really experienced a lot of social anxiety and was kind of having a hard time like socializing and stuff like that, especially coming off of a pandemic. It was kind of, I was just going through a lot mentally. And I was nervous. I was like, am I going to make friends? Am I going to like my professors? Am I going to have a good time here? And I'm moving like several hours away from home. Like I need to figure things out. So that was something I was really nervous about, but I definitely had a great experience. I loved all my classmates, my professors. So yeah.
I promise you, last one. I listen. I think you've got some good tips. That's why I keep asking you to keep reflecting back.
Of course.
And this one, because of the time when everyone's going to hear this, it will be incoming freshmen for the most part that I want you to speak to on this one. What's one tip that you have with regards, you just mentioned that you had some social anxiety issues, especially because of coming off from a pandemic, and you are entering an extremely new space. And one of the things that you were nervous about is, will I make friends? Give one good tip on how to make friends in college.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would definitely say just be your authentic self. I feel like often people with different backgrounds and aesthetics, they may not look like other people. They may have a special way they like to express themselves, and they might feel, oh no, like I see these HBCU students on social media and they don't look like me. I won't make any friends. But it's like, I think it's important to remember at a HBCU, there's a person or a group of people for everyone, no matter what you're interested in. Even if you're interested in like caterpillars or something super random, there's people there who are also interested in caterpillars. So yeah, I would say just that. Just be yourself. Be your authentic self. You don't have to show off. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not, because I always believe that the right people will see you for who you are and will want to be around you and celebrate you. So.
Mikaylee, are you interested in caterpillars?
No.
That was so specific. That's why I had
do
to
see
ask.
something out there.
I love it. Mikaylee, end this episode for us in one word or short phrase. Why do you love HBCUs?
Great. I love HBCUs because they are a place for people from different backgrounds to connect and learn from one another.
Thank you so much for being my guest on this episode of I Love My HBCU ? I think it is impossible for especially our current students hearing from a very recent grad not to hear this episode and like it. And I hope I have done it justice for you to subscribe to I Love My HBCU ? Wherever you get your podcasts. Mikaylee, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.